Sí, vamos a darle antes que lo, ¿no? Tú sabes cómo eso es. Vamos a dar un chance que lleguen un par de gatos, que lleguen un par de gatos para que vean este Watch Market Update, porque esta gente cuando te trancan y no quiere que nadie vea nada. ¿Tú entiendes lo que te digo, Kino? Ellos te trancan, ¿entiendes? Te trancan y ya. Tú sabes más que eso. Tú sabes más cómo eso es, inevitablemente ellos son así. Cuando tú le enseñas mucho y hablas cosas que no le conviene a ellos, ellos te trancan, ¿tú entiendes? Es una cosa que pues así, pues uno sabe, porque uno le va dando duro a esto, ¿no? Y, pero hoy tú sabes, cuando hable algo, no te pongas así porque me trincas a mí, yo no puedo seguir con ellos, no quiero. Yo le he hablado a ellos al sistema como es, y como todo esto allá, y eh, tú sabes lo que hay. Tú sabes, él te llamó a ti y te explicó que hay uno allá en Pennsylvania que también hizo el mismo truco que hizo el de las orejas grandes. Claro, vamos a caerle con ese. Vamos a caerle encima con eso a ellos, para que ellos entiendan lo que hay. ¿Estamos? Ya le voy a meter mano a esto. Vamos a darle caña a esto ya, para que esta gente se sientan bien. Porque que se ponen. Good afternoon to you as well. Good afternoon. Vamos a darle duro a esto ya entonces ya para darle a esta gente un poquito de información porque están durmiendo en la paja. Vamos para allá. Salud. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back once again to the greatest watch market update show. As you know, me and Sweet Kick Kino always try to bring you nothing and nothing but the truth. You know, what these Muppet Boiler Room secondary grade watch market dealers won't dare to tell you, me and Sweet Kid Kino to me, Joaquin to you, we will tell you the truth. And you know why we'll tell you the truth. I'm not going to even tell you why. You know why already. But ladies and gentlemen, before I start getting into the watch market update, I want to talk to you about a subject about one of our new subscribers that has come to our channel looking for some kind of, defense, somebody that they can defend them. And it looks like we are the proper people that can defend this new subscriber that we have in our organic watch channel. Ladies and gentlemen, it has come to our attention. Listen and learn. It has come to our attention, ladies and gentlemen, that a gentleman that gave many of his watches on consignment to a watch dealer has been taken for lots of money. You know, we've been telling you for a long time to stop giving up your watches to these crumb bums, to these hucksters and hoodwinks on consignment. We first talked to you about the gentleman with the trucking sweat stain hat, jumbo whiteout ears, small feet, small hands, with skin tight leotard jeans, 4 feet 8 inches. He took approximately, they say like $7 million. He took that little small little man, petite little man, for $7 million. And today he's doing some time in Alcatraz. I think he's in Alcatraz doing some time. I don't know, that's what Sweet Kid Kino told me. I tell you what Kino tells me, I tell you like it is. But ladies and gentlemen, most of you didn't learn from that, from that devastation of that small little man, 4 feet 8 inches, taking you people for $7, $10 million. But ladies and gentlemen, listen and learn. We have a new, a new, a new cockroach, a new rat, a new, a new gonorrhea, gonorrhea. And this gentleman is a gentleman that has a online, you know, uh, dealer, Muppet Boiler Room dealer, online. And ladies and gentlemen, he's from that state, el estado, la ciudad. I think it's the state over there from Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania, ladies and gentlemen. Listen and learn. Pennsylvania. And ladies and gentlemen, this gentleman over there that has this, watch, Muppet Boiler Room dealer online has taken some people over there for, first of all, he's claiming that he has spent all his money because he has a terrible gambling habit, and he has taken all the money on return taxes and all that good stuff, and he's blown away like $25 million in taxes. This is a very, very important for what they say dealer over there from, from down there from the north, from Pennsylvania. We don't know the name. We don't know the name, but Sweet Kid Kino got all this information. And this person that reached out to us, and now he is an Organic Watch channel subscriber. He gave that gentleman over there from Pennsylvania like around 6, 7 watches, and that dealer from over there from Pennsylvania owns him like $2 million. If anybody knows who I'm talking about, don't hesitate to put it up there. We don't know the name, we just know the state, Pennsylvania. Unbelievable. These people, they have a lifestyle that they have gotten accustomed to, and they don't want to let go of it. And the only way they can continue living that lifestyle is by flim-flamming people like you and Sweet Kid Kino and me. You understand me? I'm telling you, this is unbelievable. I want you guys to know this. You need to do your own Google search so you understand what's going on. I'm talking about, you have to be unbelievable to spend $20+ million on gambling. It's unbelievable. Playing blackjack, baccarat, roulette, backdoor gambling. It's unbelievable. But you people, like I said again, you maintain these people's lifestyle, and the situation is upside down today. I've been telling you for the longest that the situation está jodido, papi. And this is a real big, watch dealer, in the internet, Lo dije bien, Kino, en el internet. Online, online. It's unbelievable. I want to thank you very much, Kino. We just got our first super chat from Mr. Sam. Thank you very much, Sam. Sam understands exactly what I'm talking about, that dealership from Pennsylvania. And ladies and gentlemen, you take all that money from these people. They need the money, to keep on living, maintaining their household, paying their mortgage, sending their children to school, tuition money, all these things. And people are just getting flim-flammed, flim-flammed and spoofball by all these hoodwinks and hucksters out there, porque son unas ratas, Son unas gonorreas que le quitan el dinero al prójimo, que le hace falta el dinero para seguir viviendo. You know, they take away that money so they can continue living, and you guys keep on maintaining these people. Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. You know, this organic subscriber, now that he is our subscriber, you're going to be seeing him there soon, you know, on the chats and all that. You know, they own him. You ready for this, ladies and gentlemen? You ready for this or not? You got to tell me if you're ready for this or not, ladies and gentlemen. This is the #1 watch channel. Number one. Number one. They took him for a cool 1.1. $1,100,000. You understand me? Aparentemente, they took him for $1.1 million. It's all over the place, ladies and gentlemen. You know, it's all over the place. You just need to Google it. If you Google it, you find out. And you know, this is the #1 channel there is, ladies and gentlemen, you know? So you already know what's going on. If you look there, you're going to find out one of the biggest online watch dealers. You know, unbelievable. What a dirty scoundrel. You know, what a dirty. Hay que ser una gonorrea. You know, you gotta be a gonorrhea to take, you know, all those millions of dollars and spend it gambling. You know, he must have been looking at trucking sweat stained hat with jumbo whiteout ears, small little feet, small little hands, 4 feet, 8 inches with skin tight leotard jeans, you know? Unbelievable. He must have had the same blueprints. And he took all those people for millions and millions of dollars. And today he claims he doesn't have no more inventory. He doesn't have no money, you know? But you know what else, ladies and gentlemen? Let me give you the punchline. He's still picking up watches. He's still selling watches. You know, ladies and gentlemen, we say things the way they are here in this channel. Because we're #1. We're #1, ladies and gentlemen. So we already talked to you about that flim flammer, you know, who has been fleecing people out of, you know, over there in Pennsylvania, you know. He's fleecing people and he's still there. And I believe, ladies and gentlemen, he'll get what's coming to him as well, you know. Don't worry about it. You remember the story of Maury. You know Maury, he's going to get this too. Don't worry about it. He's not going to get away. And they say that he has like a side, como una muchacha que está con el tipo. You know, I think it's a combination of a woman and a man. I don't know, something to that. But you do whatever you want. I'm telling you what it is, so you don't give up your watch. You know? So you don't give it up because they're going to give you this. All right? So that's over there, like I told you already, in the north, over there, you know. I'm telling you what it is, you know, too many hoodies, you know, too many Louis Vuitton Nike sneakers, ripped jeans, you know, Montclair sweaters, Supreme, you know, all that stuff, you know, that you guys like. Okay, I'm telling you the way it is, ladies and gentlemen. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we also have another one. We have a fugitive. We have a fugitive here in Florida. You know, we have one too that has been taking watches from all the dealers and they're looking for him. He's kind of overweight. You know, he has a long beard, a real long beard. This one is from Florida. From Florida, ladies and gentlemen. He took, you know, all those dealers for watches and they're getting the law involved and, you know, people that want to keep on living that lifestyle. They don't want to get off the Range Rover, papi. They don't want to get off the Range Rover. You need to get off the Range Rover. You need to get off the Range Rover and drive a little Honda Pilot or something, you know? You cannot continue flim-flamming people. You cannot continue, ladies and gentlemen. Don't fall for these tricks. You know what I'm trying to tell you. You know what I'm telling you. We're talking about Miami, Florida, downtown. They're looking for him, chubby little guy, big long beard, you know, es un gordo, un gordito malo, you know, un gordito maldito, you know, una gonorrea. ¿Tú entendiste? Una gonorrea. You know, if you don't know what that means, you Google it. I'm not going to tell you, neither is Sweet Kid Kino. You know, we're on fire today. We're on fire. We're bringing fire for you guys. You know? So we have those two bandits loose out there. And we need to track them down, you know, because they're doing damage to people that need their money to keep on living in these tough times. We're living the tariff wars. Tariff, you know? ¿Cómo se dice tariff, verdad? Tariff. You know, the tariff wars are here. It's unbelievable. They're the shores and the shores of America. You know? I know what I'm telling you guys. I might sound funny to you guys. I might sound silly to you guys. But I'm giving it to you the subliminal way. Subliminal way, ladies and gentlemen. Nobody's going to give it to you like me. Nobody. Remember, we're the #1 watch channel there is. The #1 watch channel. We are it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know also something too. There was a watch show here in Miami, Florida. And I gotta be the one to tell you because all of them are playing, you know, all of them are playing possum kickers, you know. All these Muppet boiler room secondary grade watch market dealers are playing possum kickers and cow tippers. And they're playing the game of hush hush. But I'm not because we have no other than, in our team, in our army, we have no other than Sweet Kid Kino. Kino's from the streets. Kino knows everybody. Kino knows everybody. And the show in downtown Miami was dead. Dead. It was dead. They were trying to do the artificial high prices, but they couldn't. It was dead. Ladies and gentlemen, it was dead. It was totally dead. No matter what they tell you, it was dead. Muerto. Dead. You understand me? It was dead. So just to let you know about that too, you know? Ladies and gentlemen, I also want to tell you something else that you need to know, you know? The watch world is spiraling out of control. The watch world is spiraling out of control. If you don't know this, you're going to know it today. China, these people in China, they love luxury goods. You know, luxury goods. And China has dropped of 50%. No more luxury for them. 50%. Half. You know, they're a powerhouse. 50%. Se fue para casa el carajo. Se jodieron los chinos. Los chinos se jodieron. Los chinos se jodieron. You understand me? If you don't understand me, Manishma. Manishma. You know? Yala. You know? Mashugana. I'm telling you what it is. Lo chino, 50% slash through the middle. Finito. The other company that you need to look at is that company over there from the other side. You know, I think it's called Watch Switzerland. You know, these people are animals. You know, these people are animals. These people are animals and they have dropped. And this is big, Papi. Papi, this is big what I'm going to tell you. China's 50. That's mammoth, colossal, brutal. But that over there, Watch Switzerland, whatever you call it over there, 38%. 38%. Don't be fooled with the sketch that that's because of tariffs. No, papi. Esto viene cojeando, you know, cojeando. This is, they're coming limping already, you know, a limp leg. They're coming limping. Está jodido, papi. You know, don't let them tell you it's with the tariff. It's going to get worse now, but, you know, 50% China, 38% Watch Switzerland, you know, Papi, está jodido. Está jodido. And let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen, because in America, the United States of America, we had an increase of Rolex, Rolex. So you understand this. We had an increase of the 3%, they say, right? But I want you to know, we kick kilos of brains in this channel. The brains. Listen and learn. The Rolex Daytona, Rolex Daytona stainless steel, the reference number 126, the new model, not the 116, 126. Stainless steel, black ceramic bezel, black dial, white dial, right? That watch. That watch has a retail price of $15,500. And now, with that increase, it wasn't a 3%, it was like a 3.3%. 3.3%. That watch is going to cost you now, that Daytona, 16,000 maratas. You understand me? Because, we give it to you like it is. They're not going to tell you none of these things. They're not. Papi, those people are not going to tell you none of these things. They're not. But we will. Because we're not here selling you no watches. We're not here buying you your watches. We're just giving you what's happening. When you leave from watching this live podcast, this is a podcast, you come out of here smarter, Papi. Smarter. We make you smarter. You go out there and you know how to talk to them. And they get scared of you because you already know. You're not no more brainwash. You're not no more brainwash. And we're not going to let you happen. We're not going to let you get MK Ultra. If you don't know what MK Ultra es así que no. MK Ultra. Porque tú me sigues diciendo así con las manos. MK Ultra. You're not no more MK Ultra. We're going to get you out of there. Ooh, you're out. You're going to know the truth and nothing but the truth in this channel, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you how things are, ladies and gentlemen. And we're not going to permit that because we're going to tell you everything that you need to know to defend yourself, to defend your 401k, to defend your children's tuition money. You understand me? You need to know all this, ladies and gentlemen. Papi, you cannot continue listening to these people's, BS. They've been brainwashing you for too long. They want me and Sweet kick Kino out, but they can't get us out. They don't know what to do with us no more. Ladies and gentlemen, they don't know what to do with us no more. We are a thorn. We are a thorn. Es un thorn, ¿verdad? La cosita que te da así, te clava. We're a thorn. I don't know how to say too much. The thorn. You know what a thorn. Help me out. Write it down for me, guys. Come on, don't be embarrassed. Write it down. Thorn. We're a thorn. En el orto. We're a thorn, ladies and gentlemen. We're a thorn. We try to make you relax and you can laugh. So, you don't take this too serious. But these people, son malos. Estos tipos son unos gangsters. Son unos gangsters. Yo sé lo que te digo. Yo sé lo que te digo, papá. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you something seriously from the bottom of my heart. And I'm going to come out of character for a few minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, honestly, there's no more watch content out there. You were used to seeing the gentleman deputy boxing Black Eyes, with his sidekick Jiminy Cricket with the spray can chia pet hair, and you were also used to seeing Big Pun and Heavy D out of the Lone Star State. You were also used to seeing the two brothers, the two JWs, the two JWs, Jehovah Witness brothers. You were also used to seeing, Trucking Sweat Stain's ex-partner, Cockeye, with his the Chinese gentleman, from over there from the Lone Star State too. You know, and, you have also have the two toddler body brothers, out of Miami, Florida. Unbelievable. These people had tremendous content. It was all staged, but they had this content for you guys. And you guys ate it alive because you guys were like that. You guys were Michiganers, But ladies and gentlemen, all kidding aside, I want you to know the new fad. The new fad. I want you to know the new fad. These people ain't got no more content to tell you. They cannot, stage no more and BS you no more. So what they are turning to doing to you guys is they're doing listen and learn. Listen and learn. I'm gonna tell you things 2 months ahead of time. What they're doing now is they're doing reels. Reels, Reels. Reels, 1 minute reel, stage stuff. Sell me the watch. I want to buy you the watch today. How much you want for it? Let's negotiate it. Blah 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 blah. The sketch. Because they don't have no more watch content to offer you no more. They don't. They really don't have no more. So, basically, me and Sweet Kino are getting all this content now because we're not selling you no fantasies. We're not selling you no wet dreams. I don't know if you guys know what a wet dream is, but if you don't know what a wet dream is, just Google it and you'll find out real quickly. So these people, what they're doing now is they're doing reels. You have the gentleman over there from the subway train jumper. The subway train jumper from New York, from 47th Street. He's unbelievable. He's exactly the subway train jumper. He's over there talking about, hey, I buy you the dial, I buy you the casing, I buy you the bracelet, the sketch, the sketch that you guys eat, And you have Sinbad, the genie, with the skin tight shaved hair and the man bun in the back, and flipping a coin in the air, and you go, ah! You guys go crazy for the flip of the coin. You guys go crazy and banana, the sketch, Papi, there's no more content, You also had that girl, you had a girl that came out in 47th Street. I forgot her name. I forgot. I don't know her name, but it's unbelievable. You don't see her no more because the party is over. People are getting laid off. There's no more. Ya no hay más. Ya no hay más pendejo en la calle. If you don't know what pendejo is, you Google it because I'm not going to tell you, and neither is Sweet Kid Kino. We tell you things the way they are. So what they're doing to you now is switching. They're doing a crossover from content, to reels, like those two, Big Pun and Heavy D, those two twin brothers, they always wear, they're very, very heavy. They wear black always wear black, and they're always in Rolls Royce and Ducati motorcycles and Ferraris. They ain't got no more content, they got a showroom that has like 7,000 square feet. So now they're doing reels, 45-second reels, to try to give you the logo. But I'm gonna tell you ahead of time so you guys don't get fleeced and flim flam. This is what's going on. You also have the two toddler body brothers, negotiating with the same people. You sell me the watch, I buy you this, I give you la 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 la. The same sketch to get you dizzy. It's all a stage sketch. Stop falling for it. Don't believe those wet dreams. Those are all wet dreams, they're wet dreams. So we want to let you know that, we're lucky that we have real content, we have real content, papi. Esto de verdad, we don't, we're not going to give you no sketch here, we're not, man. And I know that a lot of you are used to that, because a lot of you, we're dreamers, we're dreamers. We want to believe the dream, we want to believe the lie. But we can't, man. You can't do that. We're being lied to by the U.S. government. So we don't need more people lying to us. In the world, the world's a big business, and we're all being lied to. So now we have these Michiganers now that they're trying to get you going. Take you from your children's tuition money, your 401k. Don't fall for it, papi. No caigan en esa pendeja. Don't fall for that. So just to let you know, the new thing is now reels. reels, 1 minute, 45 seconds. You throw a couple of farts, and that's it. And they give you the logo, no sean pendejo. So already you got the 47th Street train jumper, subway train jumper. You have Sinbad, the genie, with the skin tight hair and the man bun in the back, and the other guy, with a couple of teeth loose, rotten. I don't know what I don't know what, teeth. I don't know what's going on, But it is what it is. Maybe it's part of the show, and people like that, I'm telling you what it is. I'm telling you what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, I also want to tell you something else too, I know things are bad, and people got to find different entradas, entries of making money, making cash. And that's fine, because I respect that when people are working and they want to make money. I respect that. That I respect, Papa. I respect all that. I'm a hard worker. Kino's a hard worker. Kino is an installer. Kino installs marble tiles, slabs. So we know about that. But ladies and gentlemen, as you know, people do crossovers in life. And we have this gentleman that he has been promoting Hublot watches, Urek watches, Purnell watches. And ladies and gentlemen, you're not going to believe this. He's promoting now because he has to be making a living. Somebody has to be shaking his hands, Somebody has to be shaking his hands. He's promoting now also CNF watches. We're talking about no other than Deputy Boxing Black Eyes. And ladies and gentlemen, he's changing very much. His dress code, he's dropping his, Formula One racing gear to wearing a blazer. I mean, so, I've seen him already like in 4 different videos. That's what Sweet Kid Kino has told me. And he wears the same blazer, but that's good because he needs to wear a blazer when he's talking to these big shot, manufacturer watchmakers, So now, again, he is pushing now CNF, CNF, because, ya la situación está jodida, ya la rola está jodida, la rola está vida al revés, upside down. The world is upside down, ladies and gentlemen. I've been trying to tell you for some time that the world is upside down. I've been telling you that the situation is bad, that the watch market is dead for 2 years and a half, but nobody wants to believe. People want to keep on believing the lie, the big lie. But, I'm telling you what it is so you can prepare because they're going to keep on giving you subliminal messages, which way they want you to go with Hublot, with Zenef, Urek, Purnell, and so on and so on. There was a watch that nobody wanted to hear about. And I like this watch very much. And I have a few pieces of that watch manufactured, which is Panerai. And now suddenly Panerai is, coming back again. And Panerai back in the early, 2000 was a watch that, wow, late 90s, unbelievable. But now they're all coming back again. All these watches that people were calling them, they're all coming back because they need to make income. They need to make income. So pretty soon, even Tag Heuer is going to come back again. All these watches that you can make $500 a year, $250 a year, $300, they're all coming back, Papa. The flipping days are over. Papi, it's over. And let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. I believe that me and Sweet Kid Kino have single-handedly disrupted, rattled, and dismantled the Muppet Boiler Room secondary gray watch market. Unbelievable but true, but we really believe we have, ladies and gentlemen. So help me God. I really believe so. Unbelievable. I felt like a preacher there for a moment. Unbelievable, but it's true. I'm telling you, I think we've done something, you know. We have brought these people back down to tierra, to earth, you know. We brought them back down. You know what I'm talking about, Timmy. You know what I mean, Timmy. You know exactly what I mean, Timmy. Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. We have Mr. Tim. Tim is here today. Timmy. And let me tell you, he is the greatest. You know, all of you should leave my channel right now, my podcast, and go to his channel. That's how much I care about Timmy. Unbelievable but true. It's the truth, ladies and gentlemen. The watch market está jodido, ladies and gentlemen. The watch market está jodido. You're very welcome. You're very welcome. You're very welcome. This is Timmy. You guys got to go see Timmy. He's unbelievable. He makes the best show out there. Nobody better than him, ladies and gentlemen. Nobody. Besides Sweet Kid Kino. It's unbelievable that Sweet Kid Kino. But let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Tim. Thank you so much. Thank you, Tim. Thank you. So I'm telling you, all of you ladies and gentlemen, be careful. You know, there was another thing, another auction over there, Monaco, whatever you call that thing, Monaco something. Papi, es una mierda. People thought they were going to go over there, the auction was going to blow. No hay dinero, papi. There's no money out there. ¿Quién va a comprar relojes? Who's going to buy watches? La situación está jodida, está caótica. No hay dinero. No sean pendejos. You need to stop maintaining these people's lifestyle. When you stop maintaining them, the drop keeps on. The drop keeps on, you know? Dropping. You know what I'm saying? Dropping more. You know? We're going to see them in their knees. They got to wear sport jackets to sell now watches. Respect people, you know? No more. You saw what happened to Maury. Maury was trying to be a loyal one. And you know what happened to Maury? You know what Jimmy Conway did to him? I'm telling you what it is, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you what it is. I'm telling you. You need to go see Timmy. He's a smart man. A smart man. Ladies and gentlemen, I also want to talk to you a little bit about watch prices now. You know, I want you guys to know something, that the watch prices are getting scary. You know, they're getting very, very scary. And I'm gonna give you a watch right now, a watch market update on a watch. Did you like the word, you know, collector's choice, collector's dream, collector's grade? You know, we're talking about discontinued watches, but these people give you this new name. You know, they give you a new name so you guys feel happy. And I'm going to talk to you about a watch which is called the Omega. You know, the Omega Silver Snoopy. You know, the Snoopy, you know. Believable, that Omega Snoopy, you know. It's an award-winning watch. You know, and this watch has a reference number. It's unbelievable. It's really long. It's like a train station, you know, real long. It's 310-324-25002-001. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to have to tell you, you know, for that watch, discontinued, collector's choice, collector's grade, you know, collector's, whatever you want to call it, dream, you know. Don't pay for that watch. And I'm talking about full set. Full set. If it ain't full set, you don't want it, ladies and gentlemen. If it ain't full set, you don't want it, ladies and gentlemen. And you cannot continue being, you know, crumb bums. And you cannot continue being cow tippers and possum kickers and crayon eaters. You got to be smart. Don't pay for that Omega Snoopy. No matter if I'm hurting somebody's feelings out there with this watch. Come on, guys. Come on. Once the watch is discontinued, it just dies. It dies. Don't pay for that watch. I mean, you do whatever you want, but don't pay for that Omega. Unbelievable. Kino, te lo digo o no? Te lo digo. We're talking about full set. If it ain't full set, you don't want it. If it ain't full set, we're talking about the Omega Wicked, the Omega Snoopy, you know. stainless steel. It has like a little Snoopy, like a a moon, flying around. Blue strap. Don't pay for that watch, and you do yourself a favor. Don't pay for that watch more than $11,900. And you do whatever you want. The watch market is dead. Esto se puso feo, papi. Esto se jodió. I know what I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen. I know what I'm telling you. I'm probably hurting your feelings, but it's the truth. You do whatever you want with your children's tuition money. It's your money, and you do whatever you want. Pero no sean pendejos, okay? Because they're going to give you the logo. I know what I'm telling you. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a Rolex, which I call it like a sleeper. It's a Rolex GMT. It's stainless steel with yellow gold. It has a green hand. It has a black dial, black ceramic bezel, beautiful oyster bracelet. And ladies and gentlemen, people, they look at the root beer, for 15, 16, $17,000 to retail. And you can get one of these GMTs, It's not the root beer, but it's two-tone. If you like two-tone, this is one here for you guys. And I'm going to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, don't pay for that 116713 LN. Black dial, black ceramic bezel with a, green GMT hand. Unbelievable. You do whatever you want. And we're talking about full set. Full set. And we're talking about used slider condition material watches in this channel. Don't get that confused. Used. Don't pay for that watch. You do whatever you want. But don't pay for that watch more than $11,500. Let me tell you, that watch is still dropping. It's still dropping. You be careful. That watch is still dropping. You do exactly. It is nice. I'm telling you. And we're talking about those watches are everywhere, and people, since they're dogs with fleas, nobody wants them. They're just laying around. They're laying around. So I'm just giving you, you do whatever you want. Ladies and gentlemen, I have another Rolex two-tone. This is a beautiful one too. Rolex two-tone, rose gold with stainless steel. Unbelievable looking watch. They call this watch the Wimbledon. The tennis people. The reference number is the 126331. Ladies and gentlemen, it has a fluted bezel. Fluted bezel. Unbelievable. Jubilee with a gray dial, and then it has a little marker white, showing you like a tennis ball, or something to that effect, And ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about you want to buy this watch full set. And I'm talking about used slider condition material watches in this channel. Don't get that confused. Don't pay for that watch. You do whatever you want. You do whatever you want with your money. We're talking about a 41 millimeter casing. You do whatever you want, but don't pay for that watch more than $13,800. And dumping to wake you up. I'm telling you what it is. You do whatever you want, ladies and gentlemen. You do whatever you want. You do whatever you want. This is the #1 watch channel in the world. This is the #1 watch market update show in the world. I know what I'm telling you. I know what I'm telling you, Wicked. I know what I'm telling you. You do whatever you want. There's another watch that a gentleman sent me a message that, why don't I talk about this watch? Well, today, Mr. Gentleman, I'm going to talk about this watch. I'm going to be talking about a Rolex date with an ombre dial. Listen and learn. With an ombre dial. Unbelievable looking watch. Unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. Unbelievable. This watch is Everose, reference number 228235. And I'm going to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, you do whatever you want. You do whatever you want, but don't pay for that ombre dial. Listen up, mister. Listen up. Don't pay for that watch. You do whatever you want. Don't matter what they tell you, no matter what subliminal message they tell you, No matter whatever they put in those platforms you look at, está todo jodido, papi. Tú estás jodido todo ya. Don't pay for that watch more than $51,000. And dumping, dumping again, and dumping again. Like my dick, he did. Kino, estoy cojonado. Kino, no te metas, no te metas. Don't get involved, Kino. No te metas, brother. No te metas. Yo sé lo que estoy haciendo. I know what I'm doing. No te metas. Thank you, Wicked, very much for that super chat. Unbelievable, that Wicked. You know? Unbelievable. Wicked's a great man. You know, no te metas más porque yo, coño, yo quiero ayudar a este muchacho. Quiero ayudar. No te metas en esto. Ladies and gentlemen, the next watch I'm going to be talking to you about is a sad watch. You know, like my wife tells me sometimes, she tells me, pero papi, babe, you know, sometimes, you know, even Louis Vuitton gets it wrong, you know. I said, really? Yeah, even they get it wrong sometimes with the designs, you know. Or she'll tell me, even sometimes Chanel gets it wrong with the color handbag, you know. And I'm gonna tell you today, ladies and gentlemen, even Rolex gets it wrong at times. You know, Rolex did a watch that was unbelievable, you know. An unbelievable watch is a Rolex Yacht Master Oyster Flex, you know, with a meteorite dial. And this watch has a 42 millimeter casing. Unbelievable. Unbelievable looking watch, ladies and gentlemen. This is unbelievable. Oyster Flex. You know? Factory diamond. Listen up and learn. Factory diamond bust down. You know? I mean, this is an ugly watch. I mean, feo. I mean, this is an ugly watch. I mean, this is my personal opinion, you know? Fully iced out, you know? Like a pimp from the Bronx, you know? You know, a meteorite dial, oyster flex, diamonds all over the, you know, over here. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And then all those parts, you know where they come from, you know? I've been telling you for 2 years where all the parts of all the luxury watches come from. But no, nobody wanted to believe me they came from there. I'm not going to tell you where. You put it up there, write it down. Go ahead, write it down. I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you. But ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you about this watch. This watch, you know, his brother, his big brother is fully, you know, the casing and the bracelet. And they were asking $1 million for that watch. And then this one with the Oyster Flex, they were asking $500,000 for that watch. And ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to get you tired, man. I really don't want to get you tired. I really don't want to get you tired. You know, with all these Alibaba parts, you know. But don't pay. Do yourself a favor. Don't pay for that bust down, that factory bust down Sky Dweller with a meteorite dial Oyster Flex. Don't pay more. I mean, you do whatever you want, but don't pay more than $149,000. And Dumpy! Hold me back, Kino. Hold me back. Dumpy! Dumpy! Dead. Dead. You do whatever you want, but you're dead. Dead. You know, last month, in that show over there in Geneva, they were talking about this watch is going to get discontinued, it's going to get discontinued. The three of them, you know? I think it was 31, 36, and 41. You know? We're talking about an Oyster Perpetual Rolex. Unbelievable, you know? Unbelievable looking watch. I think it's called el que tiene los globitos esos colores, Kino. The red color balloons, you know, different colors. Coño. Sí, cuando la fiesta. You know, they have balloon colors, you know? Sí, ese mismo, la celebración, the celebration, you know? The celebration watch. And people were going crazy that they wanted the watch to get discontinued and discontinued. And they finally discontinued the watch. They discontinued that, you know, beautiful celebration, you know? Unbelievable. 40 millimeter, I don't know, 41, something to that, you know? 124, 300. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you, you do whatever you want with your children's tuition money, but don't pay for that celebration. And let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that watch is going to keep on dropping. That watch is going to keep on dropping faster than Bill Clinton's pants in an Arkansas farmhouse. You do whatever you want. It's your money. You do whatever you want. But don't pay for that watch more than 18,000. ¿Cuánto? Sí, mano. No te meta. No te meta aquí. No, no te meta. $18,500. Aguántame otra. Aguántame otra. Aguántame otra. Dumping! Dumping! Dumping a little more, ladies and gentlemen. Watch Michael dead. You do whatever you want. You do whatever you want with that celebration. You do whatever you want. Keep on giving away your children's tuition money to Deputy Boxing Black Eyes, to Big Pun and Heavy D, to the two Jehovah Witness brothers, to the two Toddler Body brothers, to the Hungry Hippo Mr. Magoo. You understand me? Keep on doing that, ladies and gentlemen. Keep on doing that. And also to those, brothers, from India. They have like tape haircuts, drive all kind of cars. You understand me? You want talking about wear hats backwards. They're like around 7 brothers. They're from India. Unbelievable. They have, like I'm telling you, they have lined up haircuts. Lined, I'm gonna be honest. Kino has that kind of haircut. Kino has a tape and everything, like that. Unbelievable those haircuts those people make, Unbelievable. So, keep on, This is the only channel that's going to bring you the real thing, ladies and gentlemen. And what do me and Sweet Kid Kino get? We get the short end of the stick. And that's all right. And that's all right because we're stupid like that. Don't worry about it. You're going to miss us when we're not here no more. You're going to miss, I promise you're going to miss us. We're not going to miss you. You're going to miss us. You do whatever you want, is what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, I have another watch that is an embarrassment. Because this watch at one moment, when you will go to the shows, the watch shows, the people will be in their Ferrari Italia, sitting down with their phone and just push the button. Wire transfer, ding, 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 ding. $350,000. This is an unbelievable watch. We're talking about a Vacheron Constantin, stainless steel, with the most spectacular blue dial in the watch industry. That's right. I dare to say that the most beautiful blue dial in the watch industry, Vacheron Constantin produces it. Tourbillon, ladies and gentlemen, tourbillon. This watch at one moment was over $300,000. $300,000. I dare to tell you that this watch is under retail. Unbelievable. La situación está jodida aquí, ¿no? Esta gente no sabe en estar metido. I mean, I can imagine those people that press the button and just send away $300,000 for a Vacheron Constantin stainless steel tourbillon, Unbelievable looking watch, with a 42.5 millimeter casing. Unbelievable watch, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, be careful, man. Be careful with your children's and your family's money. Tough times are coming our way, ladies and gentlemen. De verdad, this is when I tell you this price, you're gonna go, whoa, whoa. It's an unbelievable watch. I'm telling you, the Vacheron Constantin is an unbelievable watch. And I'm gonna tell you, ladies and gentlemen, oh man, nobody's gonna give it to you like we do. Nobody. This is the 6000. Just in case you want to look it up, it's the 6000V/110. And ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna have to tell you with all the pain in my heart. If you were one of those people that were in your Italia Ferrari, pressing the wire transfer button in your phone, I'm gonna have to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, you do whatever you want. You know it is, Papa. You see that? We got a smart man here. He knows that's a beautiful watch. Papi, this watch was over $300,000. In 2021, people went nuts. People took all those SBA loans, PPP loans, government grants, stimulus checks, unemployment checks, protection employment checks, and just gave it away, man. Gave it away. And I'm going to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, you do whatever you want, but don't pay for that watch. Don't pay for that watch. It's sad, man. Don't pay for that watch more than Fool said. Fool said, mint condition. Don't pay more than $72,000. Dead. Dead. Do whatever you want. Dead. You're dead. Ladies and gentlemen, our next watch is a Richard Mille RM005 white gold. This watch was a starter watch, to get you in Richard Mille, and it was up there, $250,000, $250,000, you know, and people will pay for it because people wanted to be out there, in that Bitcoin era. People wanted to just have those watches. Richard Mille watches are dead in water. Richard Mille watches are dead in water. Get it through your head. The watch market is dead. Get it through your head. And Richard Mille watches, he dead. It's the next. It's the next, Jacob, the next Hublot, the next Frank Mueller, because ladies and gentlemen, you guys are a bunch of recovering tomato cans. You guys are a bunch of recovering tomato cans. You guys still look at yourself in the mirror and you believe that the watch market is still up and running. Porque ustedes son unos pendejos. Ustedes son unos pendejos. You still believe that the watch market is up and running. You guys been brainwashed for too long. Brainwash. Brainwash. But you do whatever you want. Don't pay for that Richard Mille RM005 white gold. I mean, you do whatever you want, but don't pay for more than $76,000. And do whatever you want, Papa. You do whatever you want. You understand me? You guys are living in a wet dream. So I'm just telling you what it is. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, uh, I have something else to tell you. We're going to talk about another watch that in 2021, it was the only year they released it. We're talking about a Patek Philippe stainless steel, Patek Philippe stainless steel with a green dial. It was the only year. The same year they discontinued the 5711 blue dial, they came out with a green dial. And this watch went all the way up, all like the song, all the way up, all the way up to $350,000, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about a watch that's the retail price is $34,700, 34,700. And if Mr. Gentleman, that you also were asking me about this watch, and I told you, don't worry about it. I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you today live in my podcast what I believe you should pay for that watch. Not $1 more, $1 less. And if you wait until the end of June, August, drop even more, okay? But I'm gonna tell you, don't pay for that Patek 5711 stainless steel with the green dial. You do whatever you want. It's your money. You do whatever you want. But don't pay for that watch. And I mean, don't pay for that watch. And you do whatever you want. Don't pay for that watch. More. Does anybody know what I'm going to say about that watch? Before I tell you the price, just tell me. Somebody put a price up there. I want to see somebody where they're at. Nobody? Nobody wants to put a price? Come on, I challenge you. Is that 135, Ed Blair? Uh-huh. Uh-huh. I'm gonna tell you, you don't pay. You know, on this channel we say, even though we laugh a lot and we joke a lot, we say the price is for real. I can't say 135 because if I say $135,000, I'm lying to you. I become like one of those scoundrels. You know, one of those scoundrels who have been fleecing you and flim-flamming you for many years. And I can't say 115 because that's another lie. But I am gonna tell you, ladies and gentlemen, don't pay. Don't pay for that Patek stainless steel with a green dial, 5711. You know, discontinue. Collector's choice, collector's dream, collector's grade. Don't pay for that watch. And I mean, don't pay for that watch. Listen to me, sir. Listen to me. Don't pay for that watch more than $155,000. And I'm seriously dropping. You do whatever you want. The watch market is dead. Watch market is dead. You do whatever you want. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to talk to you about another Patek Philippe. And it's still dropping, Mr. Ed Blair. It's still dropping. I'm going to talk to you about, to me, you know, these grand complications from Patek. Honestly, they're special time machines. They are special time machines. We're talking about a Patek Philippe Grand Complications. You know, rose gold, perpetual calendar, chrono, black stallion, you know, like a horse, black dial, you know, unbelievable watch. A monster of a watch, 41 millimeter. I'm talking about the 5270. 5270 rose gold. ¿Qué clase de reloj, papi? Esto es un baja panty. You know, this watch pulls down panties, you know. You have this watch on your wrist and man, that's a monster of a watch, you know. Let me tell you about this watch. This watch has a retail price. Man, I'm telling you, when I go and start talking like this about a watch, I mean it from the bottom of my heart. This is, man, this, I see somebody wearing that time machine, I go, oh, you know, that man has elegance, that man has class, you know, colossal, mammoth, you know, tienes un Italia, un Ferrari Italia en la mano, you know, you got a Ferrari Italia in your hand. But listen where the watch market is, ladies and gentlemen. This watch has a retail price of $232,490 plus your Uncle Sam's taxes. Listen and learn, ladies and gentlemen. And this watch at one moment was over $500,000. $500,000. Ladies and gentlemen, you know what you can buy today with a dollar? You know what you can buy today with a dollar, ladies and gentlemen? You can buy a nickel. A dollar buys you today a nickel. A dollar today buys you a nickel. Unbelievable, this watch. 5270. What a monster of a watch. And you want to hear something even more funny? Ready? Collector's dream. Collector's choice. Collector's grade. Discontinue. Stop believing the sketch of discontinued watches. It's just a way to grab your cash, you know? You know, grabbing cash. ¿Cómo se llama eso? Cash and grab. Grab cash and grab, you know, to get you taken. You know, to get you taken, you know? Get you taken. But I'm here to tell you the truth. And this is, I'm telling you, this is a monster of a watch. Unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. Over $550,000. When I tell you the price that you shouldn't pay for this watch, I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to go, oh my God. Oh my God. Don't pay for that watch and you do whatever you want. This is going to knock your socks off and blow your hair back. Don't pay for that watch more than $122,000. And Bobby! What my dead! Dead! Dead. Bobby está jodido, bro. Dead. This is a grand complications, Papa. This is not complication. Grande complicaciones. Complicaciones. Unbelievable. Ladies and gentlemen, our next watch is an Adamas Piquet Royal Oak. That's right. An Adamas Piquet Royal Oak Rose Gold. Reference number 154070. Rose gold, skeleton, 41 millimeter. Unbelievable, unbelievable. This is a watch, open work, double balance wheel. I mean, this is a watch. This is unbelievable. And this watch was again over $375,000 in that Corona beer era. Corona beer era. Unbelievable time machine. Fully rose gold. Skeletonized, skeleton, whatever you want to call it. Unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. Don't get scared, guys. Don't get scared. All you 33 Organic Watch channel subscribers watching this live podcast, you're here to learn. You're here to learn. Don't run. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. Don't pay for that AP Royal Oak. Open work, double balance wheel, rose gold. 154070. Don't pay. I mean, you do whatever you want. Listen and learn. Don't pay more. You sure that's the price? You sure? I thought it was. Yo pensaba que era más bajo. Don't pay, and I mean don't pay more than $164,000 in dumping. That's what it means. Exactly. That's what Corona means. Exactly. You do whatever you want, Papi. You do whatever you want. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give you the last watch market update of the day. I hope you guys have learned something in these 67 minutes and 15 seconds. I dedicate this time to you because I care about your children's tuition money and your 401k. That's right. I do. I honestly do. And after I give you my last watch market of the day, I'm going to go to the golf range and I'm going to go blow some steam with Kino. Kino's going to watch me, in the range. He's going to have a couple of beers, and we're going to chill, I hope, you're learning something, I hope you are learning something. Our next watch is an unbelievable watch. It's another AP, an Adamas Piquet Royal Oak. Stainless steel. They call this watch the Panda. The Panda. White dial with black gauges. Hours, seconds. Hours, seconds, and minutes. And this watch in the Corona era, people were paying for that watch, and you were getting a bargain if you would get this price back then in the Corona era. In 2021, 2022, the beginning of the Corona beer era. If you would get that watch for $80,000, man, you ran. It's like you hit a home run. Like, wow, 80,000, I can sell it for 100, And people in the shows were paying, young kids, 27, 28 years old. You know what it is to be 27, 28 years old, and you're handling $80,000. No, this is no bullshitting now. This is for real. Because I was 28 years old in my life, and let me tell you, $80,000 in my time was a lot of money, and $80,000 today, being 28 years old, not 58, 28, it's a lot of money. And these kids were 28 years old. And I don't know what they did. Maybe it was the Bitcoin, something to that. And they will go and blow on a stainless steel, Adamas Piquet Royal Oak. And I believe it's the 26331. Yeah, 26331, 41 millimeter. And they will pay $80,000. This watch reached a number of $100,000. And these kids were, were working with $100,000. With $100,000, you could have done a whole lot of things. And they were playing around, and they were the happiest kids in the world. They were just, they have my watch. Look at that, my watch. I mean, and I say, oh my God, how can this be? These people, these kids, are giving away $100,000. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you, don't pay for that watch, that Panda stainless steel. You know, and you want it full set. You want it full set. If it ain't full set, you don't want it. But I'm going to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you with the pain in my heart, to those young kids that gave away $100,000 that they wish they had back today. Don't pay for that watch. And I mean, don't pay for that watch more. I mean, I don't care what they're telling you out there. I'm telling you what it is. They have their prices, and I got my prices. And believe me, I challenge them any time of the day with my prices. Don't pay for that watch more than $34,000. To you, $100,000 young kid. All right? There it is, ladies and gentlemen. That's my watch market update show for the day. I hope you learned something. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to subscribe to the number one channel with real, authentic content. We're not selling you here any raffle tickets. We don't want to buy your watch, sell your watch, none of the above. We just want to give you info so you can get smarter. When you leave here after an hour, you're smarter. All right, guys? Anyway, guys, I'm tired. I am tired already. I put too much time for you guys. Like me and Sweet Kino say every week, take care and brush your hair. Peace.